If you love me, you'll let me do this. How many husbands have heard that line? For me, those words landed like a punch to the gut during what was meant to be a romantic dinner for my 6th wedding anniversary. My wife, Rachel, sat across from me in the warm, amber glow of our favorite Seattle restaurant and calmly detonated our lives. She told me, as if discussing the weather, that she wanted to explore relationships with other men. I had planned the evening meticulously. We were at the Hemlock Bistro, a cozy, upscale place known for its intimate ambience and an incredible wine list. Tucked in my pocket was a small, velvet box holding the diamond bracelet she'd been admiring since her last birthday. But from the moment we sat down, I knew something was wrong. A strange tension radiated from her. Our conversation, usually an easy, flowing river, was stilted and awkward. Her eyes, which normally met mine with affection, darted around the room, scanning the other tables as if she were looking for someone else. She stared into her wine glass, at the flickering candle, at the menu she wasn't reading, anywhere but at me. Finally, after the plates from our main course were cleared and a second glass of wine was poured, she spoke. "Josh, there's something I need to tell you. It's been weighing on me for a while, and I can't ignore it anymore." I set my glass down, a knot of confusion tightening in my stomach. "What is it?" Her voice took on a serious, measured tone, the one she reserved for major life decisions. For a hopeful second, I thought this was it, the moment she'd finally say she was ready to start a family. We had talked about it for years, always putting it off until our careers and finances were more stable. We had finally reached that point, and I was more than ready. "Josh, I want to do something that I'm not sure you'll agree with," she began, her gaze fixed on the tablecloth. "But it's something I've thought about deeply, and it's important for me to be honest. I need to explore life outside of our marriage. I need some freedom to figure out who I am. I believe that through that, I'll become a better wife for you." The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Blindsided, confused, angry, hurt, none of those words even came close to what I felt. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice a low, controlled tremor. I planted my hands flat on the table, locking my eyes on hers, trying to find a hint of a joke, a misunderstanding, anything. She hesitated, still avoiding my gaze. "I need to explore other relationships, Josh. I want your understanding beforehand so there won't be any misunderstandings or hard feelings when I do." My heart hammered against my ribs. My face grew hot. "Other relationships? What kind of relationships are you talking about, Rachel?" "Well," she said, finally looking up, "I'm not entirely sure yet. But I think I might want to see other men." The air rushed out of my lungs. "Are you serious? You want to have an affair, and you're asking for my permission? Are you out of your mind?" "Josh, please keep your voice down," she whispered, glancing at the nearby tables. "This is hard enough for me to say. I don't want to make a scene." And then it hit me. The public setting wasn't a coincidence, it was a strategy. She knew I wouldn't cause a scene here. It was a calculated move, and it made me feel utterly trapped. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation that made sense, but I was paralyzed by shock and the social contract of a quiet restaurant. My appetite vanished, replaced by a sickening knot of nausea. "Why?" I managed to ask, my voice hoarse with disbelief. "Why do you want to see other men?" "I think I need the space to figure out who I am, to understand my needs better," she said softly. "This isn't about leaving you, Josh. It's about me finding something I'm missing. I need your support." "Support? You want my support to go sleep with other men? Are you even hearing yourself right now?" "No, Josh, it's not like that. I love you, and I'm not leaving you. But there's something I need to experience, and I think it will ultimately make me a better wife. I want us to grow old together. To have a family when the time is right. But right now, I need to explore this part of myself." I was speechless. My wife of 6 years, over our anniversary dinner, had just requested a hall pass to sleep with other men, promising it would somehow improve our marriage. I couldn't wrap my head around it. The world tilted on its axis, the clinking of silverware and muted conversations around us fading into a dull roar. After a silence that stretched for an eternity, I stood up. I carefully placed my napkin on the table, picked up my wine glass, and drained it in one long swallow. Without another word, I turned and walked out of the restaurant. "Josh, where are you going?" Rachel called after me, her voice laced with panic. I didn't look back. "I don't know," I muttered, more to myself than to her. "But I think you'll need to find your own way home." I stepped out into the cool Seattle night, the light drizzle doing nothing to cool the fire in my veins. My mind was a chaotic storm. I found my car, started the engine, and just drove, with no destination in mind. The pain in my head was a dull, relentless throb that echoed the ache in my chest. I drove for hours, the city lights blurring through the rain-slicked windshield. When I finally pulled over, the first hints of dawn were breaking over a quiet, unfamiliar neighborhood. Exhausted, I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes, and let the chaos of my thoughts pull me into a fitful sleep. When I woke, the sun was high in the sky. My neck was stiff, my body ached, and for a fleeting moment, I hoped it had all been a nightmare. But the cold, hard reality settled back in. I needed coffee and a plan. I found a small diner, the kind of place that feels frozen in time, and the comforting aroma of brewing coffee was the first good thing I'd felt in hours. As I ate, I started to think. There was no scenario in which I could accept this. Maybe she was having a crisis, a temporary insanity that made this seem like a rational idea. I didn't know, but I knew I couldn't just stand by and watch her dismantle our life. I turned on my phone to a barrage of missed calls and frantic texts from Rachel. At that moment, I wasn't sure I ever wanted to go home. But as I finished my coffee, a rough plan began to form. I couldn't control her choices, but I could control my response. It was time to go home. Rachel was waiting at the door when I pulled into the driveway, her face etched with worry. She rushed toward me, arms open for an embrace, but I held up a hand, stopping her in her tracks. "Josh, where have you been?" I was worried sick. "I needed time to think," I replied, my voice flat and cold. "I'm going to take a shower. Then we're going to talk about this exploration of yours." I brushed past her and went upstairs. The hot water of the shower felt like it was washing away some of the initial shock, leaving behind a cold, hard resolve. When I came downstairs in fresh clothes, Rachel was sitting at the kitchen island, nervously fidgeting with her phone. I poured myself a coffee, grabbed a notepad and a pen, and sat across from her. "Okay, Rachel. Tell me again why you think this is a good idea." "Josh, I feel like I need validation as a woman," she began, her eyes pleading for understanding. "I don't feel like my needs are being met, and I need to figure out what those needs even are." "So you don't know what your needs are, but you're willing to risk our marriage to find out?" I asked, my frustration rising. "And you expect me to just wait for you?" "I'm not leaving you," she insisted. "I'll still be here, in our home. I just need the freedom to do this on my own terms." "And when does this exploration begin?" "Tonight. Tomorrow. Anytime, I guess. I wanted to talk to you first. Understand?" I let out a short, bitter laugh. "No, Rachel, I don't understand at all. We made vows. We promised to be partners. Now you want other lovers. It sounds like you're trying to end our marriage without having the courage to say it." "It's not like that, Josh. I just need to feel something that's been missing. I don't feel appreciated. Everything I've done has been for us, Rachel. For our future. And now you're telling me it's not enough." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Are you planning on having sex with these other men?" She hesitated, looking down at her hands. "I don't know, Josh. Maybe. If it feels right." "So you're planning on cheating on me, and you expect me to be okay with it?" "It's not cheating if you know about it, Josh," she said softly, as if that simple, twisted piece of logic made everything acceptable. I felt my blood pressure spike. "Let me get this straight. You want to go out, date other men, and possibly sleep with them, all while living here with me as if nothing has changed. Is that right?" "It's not that simple." "It seems pretty straightforward to me," I cut in coldly. "You want to have your cake and eat it, too. Have you thought about what this will do to me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I know this is hard, Josh, but I believe this is something I need to do. After a few months, I'll come back to you, and we'll be stronger for it." You honestly think that after sleeping with other men, you can just come back and everything will be fine? That I'll just accept it? Josh, if you love me, you'll let me do this, she said, her voice breaking. If you loved me, Rachel, you wouldn't even be asking, I shot back, my own heart cracking as I said the words. She bit her lip, her expression a stubborn mix of sadness and determination. I've made up my mind, Josh. This is what I'm going to do. There it was. The ultimatum. In that moment, I knew my marriage was over. She just hadn't realized it yet. Okay, Rachel, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. If you're determined to do this, then I have some conditions. I picked up the pen. First, you're moving out. I will not live under the same roof as you while you're seeing other men. And you will not bring them here. If you want to do this, you do it on your own, away from our home. She looked stunned. But where would I go? Stay with Jessica. Or find a short-term rental. And you'll be responsible for all your own expenses. I am not funding your exploration. She stared at me, the reality of my words sinking in. I don't want to move out, Josh. This is our home. Not while you're doing this, it isn't, I said firmly. You want this, you live with the consequences. I'm staying here. You can do whatever you need to do, elsewhere. After a long silence, she finally gave a small, defeated nod. I guess I don't have a choice. No, you don't, I said, feeling a strange mix of relief and profound sadness. Let me know your plans by the end of the week. For now, move your things into the spare bedroom. I can't share a bed with you. She didn't argue. With tears streaming down her face, she left the kitchen. The weight of the moment settled in my chest, a hollow ache. The woman I loved was choosing to walk away, and all I could do was let her go. The next few days were a tense, silent hell. On Thursday, Rachel told me she'd be moving in with her friend Jessica that weekend. On Saturday, I watched from the doorway as she packed boxes into her car. Before she left, she turned to me one last time. Josh, I don't want this to destroy us. Are you sure we can't work something out? I looked at her, my voice steady. Rachel, you made your choice. I asked you not to do this, but you wouldn't listen. Go on. But don't expect me to be waiting when you're done. She drove away, and I stood in the driveway until her taillights disappeared, feeling more alone than I ever had in my life. That evening, I changed the locks and reset the garage code. The silence in the house was deafening. The days that followed were a blur. I threw myself into work, hit the gym, and started running again, trying to outpace the grief. I knew what I had to do. I called my lawyer and had him recommend a divorce attorney. I met with her the next day, explaining the situation. She was professional and direct. We would document everything and prepare the paperwork, but I would decide when to file. About a month after Rachel left, I joined a local cycling group, needing to feel connected to the world again. After a long ride through the hills surrounding Seattle, a few of us went for a beer at a local spot, the Blue Ridge Tavern. It was there I met Diane. She was a nurse, with kind green eyes, dark hair, and an easy smile that put me at ease instantly. We talked for hours, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of something other than pain. I asked her if she'd like to go kayaking the following weekend. To my surprise, she said yes. Our day on the lake was perfect. Diane's laughter was infectious, and for a few hours, the weight on my shoulders lifted. We had lunch afterward at a place called the Dockside Grill, and the conversation flowed easily. As we walked along the waterfront that evening, I realized how much I enjoyed being with her. It wasn't just about filling a void, it was a genuine connection. When I walked her to her car, she leaned in and gave me a soft, brief kiss that left me stunned and smiling. Over the next few weeks, Diane and I became inseparable. We hiked, we golfed, we cooked dinner at my place. It was easy, comfortable, and completely free of the tension and betrayal that had defined my life. One night, after a passionate evening together, she asked the question I knew was coming. Josh, what are your plans? With Rachel. Are you going to divorce her? I took her hand. Yes, Diane. I'm filing. I'm moving forward. I'm not going back to her. The relief on her face was all the confirmation I needed. The next day, I called my lawyer and told her to proceed. Her investigator quickly gathered the evidence we needed. Rachel had been dating multiple men, most of them married, using Jessica's apartment for her trysts. The knowledge didn't sting as much as I expected. It just solidified my resolve. A week later, Rachel was served with the divorce papers. That evening, she showed up at my door, clutching the envelope, her face a mask of disbelief and anger. "Josh, what is this? You filed for divorce? Why?" I was going to come home soon. I stood my ground. "It's too late for that, Rachel. You made your choice. I'm moving on." "But I told you I needed to find myself," she cried. "And did you?" I asked, a bitter edge to my voice. "Did you find what you were looking for? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like all you did was destroy everything we had." "Josh, I love you," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I see now I went too far. I'm ready to come home. We can start fresh, have the family we talked about." I shook my head, a deep, final sadness washing over me. "Rachel, you walked out. You chose this. It's over." She stared at the papers in her hand, her shoulders slumping in defeat. Without another word, she turned and walked away. The divorce was settled quietly. We sold the house, and I used my share to buy a new place in a different part of the city. My life with Diane blossomed. We moved in together, and a year after Rachel left, we were engaged and expecting our first child, a baby boy due around Christmas. I heard through the grapevine what became of Rachel. The rumors about her personal life had cost her the respect of her colleagues and the parents at the charter school where she taught. A few months after our divorce was final, she was diagnosed with an STD. To make matters worse, she was pregnant by one of the married men she had been seeing. Her quest for self-discovery had led her to a place of ruin. Looking back, the pain of Rachel's betrayal was the catalyst for the greatest happiness I've ever known. It forced me to learn my own worth, to set boundaries, and to open myself up to a love that was real and true. With Diane by my side and our son on the way, I was finally starting a new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a future brighter than I could have ever imagined.